Hello and welcome to the Comic Panel, your Fairbanks location for all comic-related media. I'm Jacob.
I'm Cody.
I'm Taylon.
And I'm Shawenta.
All right, and
today we're going to be talking about... Oh.
Like, no, that's fine. I waited too long. Go ahead, Cody.
Okay.
Well, this is off to a great start.
And today... Yeah. Today we're going to be talking about American Vampire by Scott Snyder, Raphael Albuquerque, and Stephen King. And were we going to talk about any news, or were we just going to jump straight into the book today?
I put together a little docket. It's only got like 4 items, so it'll be pretty quick.
Okay, so we'll start with some news.
So first, there is a Green Lantern HBO Max series. It's gonna be focusing on the adventures of Guy Gardner, Jessica Cruz, Simon Baz, and Alan Scott. It'll be headed by Berlanti Productions, best known for their work on the CW shows.
Mm-hmm.
Seth Grahame-Smith and Mark Guggenheim are going to be the main directors on that project.
Did you mention Jon Stewart?
I did not mention Jon Stewart, Hal Jordan, or Kyle Rayner.
Oh, okay.
So that's interesting. For those who don't know,
three of the most popular Green Lanterns for anybody out there that does not know.
Yeah. I mean, Simon Baz and Jessica Cruz are pretty cool. Like, they're the more modern, the newest Green Lanterns. Weird that Alan Scott is in there, because he's not, like, a part of, like, the Green Lantern Corps. He just, like, is a Green Lantern, but not like that. I don't...
Yeah, I mean, he becomes part of the Green Lantern Corps eventually, but
but
starts
like,
out as...
I don't think, is he like connected to the central power battery or anything like that? Like, I know he has the lantern, and he's got a ring.
Yeah, but I think he does. He gets connected. I don't know what the minutia of the story is, but like they fold him into the mythology eventually.
So is he like Batwoman?
Explain.
Batwoman just like got saved by Batman and they're just like, all right, I'm gonna be Batman, but wasn't part of the Batman team, the Bat family.
No, because like Alan Scott was like before, because Alan Scott's like a golden age character. Green Lantern, like Hal Jordan, wasn't introduced until the Silver Age, I think.
Oh, okay.
And so it's like Alan Scott has existed as Green Lantern before the introduction of like the Green Lantern Corps. So it's weird that they have him, but not like, if you ask anybody who a Green Lantern is, they're probably going to say Hal Jordan.
Right.
But so it's kind of weird. I'm interested to see if with Berlanti Productions, if the reason that they're bad is because of CW, or if it's just they're bad. We'll see. Also, over a course of like 3 days, Netflix released about like a dozen different photos of 3 characters for The Witcher, for new like season 2 looks. There was new Geralt, new Ciri, and new Yennefer over like 3 days. I don't know why they didn't release them all at once, but it's just like Monday, new Geralt, Tuesday, new Ciri, Wednesday, new Yennefer. Cool. Yeah, did anybody other than me watch The Witcher?
I watched like an episode and a half.
I have it downloaded, and I'm gonna watch it eventually. I like that new armor discourse that everybody just screamed their head about.
Yep.
That was so stupid.
Huh. I was not a part of the discourse or aware of it. It's like I just thought, oh cool, that's still happening. That's good.
The only thing I saw was somebody gushing over the fact that Henry Cavill and his new.
Yeah, like Henry Cavill still looks good, but like, because Henry Cavill's Henry Cavill, but yeah, I don't really know that much about The Witcher, other than the TV series. So.
Oh, okay. So
played
it's
any
really
games either?
funny. I mean, of course, there's like a billion girls who were like, "Yes, they made the armor sculpted. Ah, that's a win for women." I was like, this is just like Roman armor. Like they thought this was like a new idea to like put abs in armor. It's like, it was like
That's
the
not
dumbest-
even a new idea in terms of media.
No, they were literally like, "Oh my god, whoever designed this armor is like so thirsty." And I was
I'll give you that one. I might say that.
but it's
I might
not,
agree with that.
but also like they can just be like, "Oh, it's based on Roman armor."
Yeah.
Like
It's
Roman
yeah.
armor was even more extreme than this usually.
Well, yeah, but I'm pretty sure the Romans are classified as like a thirsty people. So,
That's true.
Marvel news: Doctor Strange has been confirmed to star in Spider-Man 3 alongside, obviously,
Holland?
lost it.
Or-
Tom Holland. Yeah, I was gonna say Hiddleston, but that's not right.
Mhm.
Started with an H though.
We
Wrong
should
Tom.
say
Uh,
Benedict Cumberbatch is starring alongside Tom Holland.
As Doctor Strange
Yeah.
in Spider-Man 3. Also alongside
Strange
Jamie
as
Foxx as
Doctor
Electro,
Strange.
because that's still happening.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I
So yeah, basically Benedict Cumberbatch, his casting also came with the announcement that Doctor Strange, the character, will be a mentor role, and I'm like, why does Spider-Man still need a mentor? Can't he just be? Can't he just, that's the whole thing. That was like at the conception of the character was he was a young kid, but he wasn't a sidekick. He was just his own hero. And it's all like,
see,
now he's just got to stay attached to people.
I get Iron Man being a mentor role. Like I get that, but then Doctor Strange, it's like, but why? He has
Yeah,
no connection to Doctor Strange.
And also, yeah, the character of Doctor Strange should not be a role model. Like, he hasn't had like the required arc that made like Tony Stark an okay mentor. Like Doctor Strange has not had that.
Yeah.
And it also kind of betrays like the arc from Homecoming and then the second one, Far From Home.
Far From Home.
That the arc seemed to be like, okay, now introduced like Peter Parker is kind of naive, and it's like, but then by the end of Far From Home, he's a little more mature, doesn't really need the whole of Far From Home was, how do I adapt to Tony Stark not being here anymore?
Not find another mentor.
Exactly.
I mean, literally, he tried that, and then the new mentor turned out to be evil. Spoilers for that movie.
Yeah, spoilers for Far From Home, I guess. I don't know. If you didn't know already that Mysterio was a villain going into that, I don't feel like that's a spoiler.
But also Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, it's just.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, Jamie Foxx is there too. Not blue, apparently.
I want him to be classic Electro with the lightning bolt mask.
I don't know. We
Honestly,
talked about
that's
this
so
last
bad.
week. We talked about it. That costume looks dumb.
No, it looks awesome.
Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. Also, I was gonna say just that, like, there was an unofficial. I hate that it came from this source too, just because of its kind of connections to other things. But a 4chan leak that said that I know the title of the third Spider-Man movie is probably going to be Spider-Man Home Invasion.
Yeah, I mean, just think of a title with home in it, and that has like equal odds of being the title, as long as it's not Homecoming or Far From. Then
Yeah.
What about
If they
far,
keep with
far
the
away
theme.
from home?
far, far away. But yeah, that could
I'm
work.
sorry. Home invasion? Wait,
could
are
be,
you
yeah.
serious?
Far from
Home invasion?
far. Wait, what? What did you say?
Are you serious that it might be home invasion?
Well, it's from 4chan, so you take it with a
Yeah.
grain of salt. But yes.
Yeah, but it could be like an
just sounds
insider
like-
leak. Like it could be true.
That just sounds like
but-
he fights off a burglar. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they make Doctor Strange a straight up mentor, like a Tony Stark replacement, then I'm gonna be upset. Like honestly, like the way I want it to play out is like for the first act, like we kind of see Doctor Strange around being a mentor, but then like second and third is Peter Parker going like, I don't need your help. I'm my own hero now.
I'm okay. Yeah, I'll agree
Yeah,
with that.
I guess the other thing to talk about with this announcement is that like some people think that they might be like, you know, of course in the Marvel Cinematic Universe way, lightly adapting One More Day, Brand New Day.
Okay.
And you know, in that way also, you know, doing like a little bit of universe cleaning up kind of stuff, but also yeah, I guess adapting that story that everybody hates.
What? Everyone hates it?
That's how you make it good, I guess.
I like that story.
Yes, I mean
I mean, I guess
Yeah,
the only thing I hated
basically-
was them just retconning their marriage. Is that the term? Or is it the opposite of a retcon?
Yeah, I mean that's
Yeah.
that's the problem most people have with it, except they just like they hate the whole story, not just like that part of it.
Oh, okay.
Because the whole
Yeah.
story kind of leads up to that.
Mhm.
I guess we should
well,
say
I mean, I think that the
marriage between Peter Parker and Mary Jane.
yeah. Yeah, and the crux of that, I think that the reason that fans don't like it is because, like, you know, if you were reading Spider-Man or a fan of Spider-Man, you know, that they got married in, like, I don't know, 1987, I think? And so, like, that's, like, 25 years of history that just gets, like, you know, gone.
God. Yeah.
But,
I would be interested
you know.
to see how they flip that, because it's like the only major romantic relationship he has is with MJ, but it's like it's a weird like high school romance. They're not married.
Yeah. No, I assume that it's just going to be the idea of getting rid of
Oh,
like
the
the public knowledge of Peter Parker's identity, and then he's probably gonna have to sacrifice something dear to him. Probably not him and MJ's relationship though, because like you said, it's just
it's not it's
What
not
if
even
he-
that dear. Like
What if he did?
it's only been like if they did, they would have to do like a lot of legwork to make it seem like so it's dear enough for him to not have to give up Spider-Man or like being Spider-Man.
What if they did
Because,
that?
like, oh, like just straight up like guess I won't be Spider-Man anymore. I
They need
would
to
like
make more movies though.
Yeah.
Make more money. So
Tom
would
Holland is still
honestly-
under contract. I'm pretty sure.
I'm a little curious about that. If they went that direction, I don't think I'd be upset.
Like I wouldn't hate it, but I also wouldn't
Yeah.
believe that it was like the end.
Right, yeah.
You know what I
That's
mean?
true. Yeah.
Because like Cody, how many times has Spider-Man hung up the suit and said never again?
I mean, definitely one time, like in particular, Spider-Man No More, and then one time he took a serum that was supposed to get rid of his powers, but then it had him grow 4 extra arms, and then
Oh yeah, that happened.
there's probably another time.
I guess it's okay. Maybe it's not that many times, but like how many times have we seen that time in different Spider-Man media? As like, because
Yeah.
like I can't tell you how many covers I've seen of like the suit in the garbage can and Peter Parker at the end of the alleyway being like, Spider-Man is no more. Or
Yeah.
it's Gwen Stacy as Spider-Man going, Gwen Stacy Spider-Man is no more. It's like every time they have a Spider-Man, they do that.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, it.
There you go.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's just like Into the Spider-Man or Into the Spider-Man. God, Into the Spider-Verse says, Spider-Man always gets back up.
Yeah, I guess it's just one of those things. It's like, yeah, I just don't see him doing it, especially like. Because that's also like Spider-Man. What Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie was the one where he started to lose his powers?
Two.
That
was 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was 2.
Okay, because I thought it was. I was kind of conflating. I thought it might have been 3, and then like I don't think Marvel would want to cross over as like, yeah, this Spider-Man 3. Where Spider-Man loses his powers is all kind of the same where this Spider-Man 3, where Spider-Man decides not to be Spider-Man anymore.
What if they did this?
No.
So I don't remember the storyline, but somewhere in the Spider-Man mythos, he dies and then comes back because of a bunch of spiders that form.
I believe that is Spider-Man Reign.
Okay. Yeah.
Or
no. That is
Reign.
not, that is
Reign
no.
is a different one, because Reign is where he becomes a spider.
We know,
and then becomes not he like bursts out of the spider like the chest burster, but as like a fully grown man.
No, that's not Spider-Man Reign.
Oh no! There's something else, because Reign is where he's old.
Yeah.
And accidentally killed Mary Jane. But there's something else
maybe that's the one I'm thinking of. Because so this storyline was like he had new powers. He had like organic webbing after that and like spikes.
Yeah, and
that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, that definitely happened. It was in line for the movie where he has organic webbing to like try to match them up.
It's that old.
Power wise. Yeah.
Gotcha. So what if they had him sacrifice himself and then he would come back like that?
Wouldn't love
Bad
it.
idea.
Oh really?
No.
Well, he would die in number 3 and then come back in number 4, or another movie.
Yeah, no, not loving it.
No.
Okay.
He would be birthed out of a bunch of spiders.
Yeah, are you thinking of like the spiders like came around like Catwoman and like
okay,
crawled over him enough that he came back to life, or
well, maybe not necessarily that aspect, but him coming back like new and improved, that kind of thing.
I mean, if they were gonna do that, they would just like get rid of the Tom Holland for Spider-Man, and then they just bring in a new actor and be like, new universe, sort of same rules, we do what we want. But I don't feel like they run Tom Holland into the ground enough, so they know they can make money out of him.
Yeah, like there's nothing in like the Spider-Man universe that is like has been introduced as like enough of a threat to have him die yet, and also like there's nothing that would feel like it had earned that, like or like the story that they would tell in like a movie doesn't seem like it would be meriting major character death.
Although they did kill Superman in the second movie, so I mean, who's to know?
That's true. But at least like he had his own movie that wasn't dealing with like, I mean, Spider-Man 1 was a lot of Iron Man, and then Spider-Man 2 was, oh man, what am I gonna do without Iron Man? And so like we would only have one movie that is like Spider-Man really comes into his own.
Yeah. I think my final thought on this is that I think that they're going to probably stick pretty closely to the source material of like Spider-Man's identity is revealed to the world. Aunt May gets shot but not dead, and then he has to like work with Doctor Strange to give up something super personal to him, and then in order to save her life and erase the memories of the entire world.
But what would that super personal thing be? I don't know.
I don't know what would be worth it.
Mhm.
Yeah, or
What a
maybe
compelling
they flip
character.
the script. Maybe Mary Jane gets shot, and, and they have to sacrifice Aunt May.
Uh,
I was hoping you'd say that.
I'm
Give
not
up
sure
your
about that one.
real mother to the real mother.
I mean, right? It's like, oh, girl that you've been dating for like a few months gets shot, and you're gonna sacrifice your aunt who has been taking care of you for years. I don't know about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's a question that I'm pretty sure I've asked every time we've talked about Spider-Man being in Marvel movies. Do you think they'll talk about Uncle Ben?
I mean, it's kind of the elephant in the room, but I don't know. They feel like they can get away with not doing it, so.
Yeah.
And so far they have. Like, it's been pretty good. No Uncle Ben. Good job, guys. But
What, they just don't bring him up?
yeah, they just
Yeah.
like there's one part in Civil War where he's like, man, somebody really close to me told me something that definitely wasn't with great power comes great responsibility.
It was like when you have the power to do something and you don't do it, then the result of that is on you. Something to that effect.
Yeah, I think it was something like that, but it was like a quote that said the same thing but wasn't like the Uncle Ben quote. So
Or was he like when you have great power and then bad things happen is on you?
I don't know. It was something. I haven't seen Civil War that soon, but it's like that's the only time they've come close to saying Uncle Ben.
When they introduce him. They just had to like get
I'm
that
just
formality
thinking of,
out
like,
there.
I'm just thinking of like Aunt May in like the hospital bed. It's like, oh man, this is just like the time Uncle Ben.
Gosh. Yeah. It is kind of strange because it's like they haven't really established a motivation for Peter Parker outside of I'm a good person, so I am a superhero.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just weird that they haven't, and it's also I think it's weirder that it has worked so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I think that it's
yeah.
because of the like cultural osmosis of like we all know Spider-Man's origin. It's like they basically are all like, well, they just assume it. They know Spider-Man's motivation, and so we don't have to say it. We don't even have to confirm that it's real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Spider-Man himself is such a popular character, and then they had 2 origin stories within 10 years, and they introduced him, what was it, 4 years after the last origin story? So it was like, it's close enough. If you'd seen Amazing Spider-Man, I mean, just, like that. Or if you've seen the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it works. It's fine. I wish they would talk about Uncle Ben more, but
I've probably seen like one Spider-Man movie in my life, and like I just haven't read any of the comics, so I know Uncle Ben somehow. So I guess that gives weight to your idea. Because also, I did not know that Iron Man is in any of the Spider-Man movies, so that's cool.
Well, I will say he's not in most of them. Still, yeah.
But that just shows how many I haven't seen.
And last but not least for Independent comic news: Invincible, the adaptation by Amazon Prime TV. I don't know what you call their video streaming service. The first trailer for Invincible's animated adaptation was revealed, and it was pretty good as far as like trailers go.
I agree. That animation style was very much like Young Justice. So I'm like,
Oh, maybe that's what it reminded me of. Because like as I was watching it, I couldn't tell if it was like I was remembering like stuff from the comic, or if it was like something in the animation seemed familiar, and it might be that like Young Justice thing.
Gotcha. Oh yeah, so who are the voice actors?
Oh, so voice actors. The main character, Mark Grayson, is going to be played by Stephen Yeun, best known for playing Glenn in The Walking Dead, and then voice acting. He was Keith in Voltron Legendary Defender on Netflix. J.K. Simmons is playing his father, Omni-Man. J.K. Simmons, best known for probably J. Jonah Jameson, and he was also Tenzin in Legend of Korra. And then, yeah, the rest of the voice actor list is like similarly stacked, but we don't hear their voices in this trailer, so.
Gotcha. So, what was J.K. Simmons' character again?
He was Omni-Man, Mark Grayson's father.
Omni-Man. Gotcha. Oh, so he was the guy floating with him.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
He is this universe's not Superman. So
All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, Invincible is by Image Comics. You should read it before the adaptation comes out. Also, like you guys on the show, but also like audience members should read Invincible.
Is that a PSA?
Yeah, pretty good.
No, I'm telling people to go out and spend money to read Invincible, so it's not a PSA. Yeah, I'm telling people to line Robert Kirkman's pockets, so that's not a PSA.
I have a PSA though.
All right.
It's getting low enough temperatures out there that you should probably start plugging in your car at night. If you live in Alaska.
That is a PSA.
Yeah. This morning, I was like, I started my car, and I was like, you know? If that sound made any sense at all.
I'm vaguely
I think that's
aware.
how your car is supposed to sound.
Well, no, it's supposed to go. This is like.
See, we're just not well versed enough in like the Tail-On audio library to know all the.
Yeah.
Huh.
Gonna get you to do all my Foley sound effects.
Man, being a Foley artist would be a pretty cool job.
A Foley artist?
Yeah, that's a person who like makes all the like sound effects for movies. Like even when you don't think it's a sound effect, like anytime you hear somebody getting smacked or like stuff is like dropping, that's somebody like smacking a loaf of ham or like throwing a head of lettuce against the wall. It's like it's.
They just kind of lock a bunch of theater kids in a room and tell them to make noises.
Okay.
Yeah, footsteps too. They'll recreate footsteps.
I mean, they always seem to be having fun trying to think of new ways of doing things.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Anyway, that's a learning PSA.
Talking about Foley artists, yeah.
Yeah.
Appreciate your local Foley artists.
Anyway, speaking of the movies, American Vampire has a main character who's an actress.
Yep.
Good segue.
Yep.
Good job. We got there.
Yeah.
So American Vampire, kind of interesting like setup, where it is set in two time periods, the 1920s and 1909. I think is when it's set.
Well, it was also.
Well, it starts in. I thought it was. Oh, was it? Okay, I may have been confused on that. There's some time jumping, but not a time travel story. But okay, so the more modern story is written by Scott Snyder, and then the older storyline is written by Stephen King. And so it's kind of like I had never or have never read a book that is like has had multiple authors, but like the writing is so clearly delineated between this is what this person did, this is what this person did, and here is the result of plugging those together.
Yeah, you know, I read the intro and it kind of made me a little mad because
the little Stephen
for
King
one
blurb?
thing, yeah,
Yeah, I read that too.
yeah, because it was like, you know, you're gonna come in here and basically like, you know, trash like not just Twilight, which was like, you know, at the height of its popularity when this came out, but like, you know, just a bunch of other like inventive vampire series and be like, we're going back to basics, but then have like a vampire human romance, B, have like, you know, a bunch of like new and interesting lore, and it's like, you know, you're doing the exact same thing that you're calling out these other stories for doing.
And oh wait, a vampire that can walk in the sun? Oh man, I think we've seen that before, haven't we?
Daywalkers.
Yeah, Blade.
There's literally a word for it already. That's sometimes used for humans.
Yeah, Stephen King is just like that sometimes. There's not really a defense for it.
Yeah. And then on top of that, he basically admits that like Scott Snyder basically wrote the outlines for the stories that he wrote. And I'm like,
yeah. But
so how much did you really do?
But he said
I
I added some bells and whistles.
When we get there, I can pick out some specific Stephen King influences. And like it's one of those things where like once you have like done enough about an author, like you can see the signatures, and then you can't miss them again.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm all like, I feel like you're taking a little bit too much credit and just giving this book some clout by having your name on it.
Yeah, I mean that's
whatever. If that's the
fair.
deal they wanted to make.
I mean, yeah, I guess they could have gotten his son, who did Lock and Key, and so like he's already kind of a name in like the comics industry, but I guess they got his dad instead. That's fine.
Yeah. Man, that would be so weird if, like, you know, I don't even know what I would be doing, but if I was doing some sort of professional job and then, like, they're like, I guess we'll get his dad.
That reminds me of my physics professor. He was like, oh yeah, my dad is like a big name in physics. Like he has some kind of theory named after him. I'm like, does that make you feel bad? I'm like...
Yeah, I do feel bad. Like, I mean, yeah, like I feel bad for Joe Hill is his name now, but it's like your dad is one of the most commercially successful authors of all time, and so like you also have that creative muscle, but like you distance yourself as much as you can while still doing storytelling by like becoming a comics artist or a comic writer, and then your dad also comes in and also writes a comic.
Just like walks in, looks at your work. I think I can do that, and then goes and does it.
It does it with Scott Snyder, one of the other biggest names in the industry.
Yeah.
And also, his name was originally Joe King, so his name was Joe King.
Right, I forgot about that.
So yeah, I feel bad for Joe Hill.
all you are to me is a joke.
Ooh.
He had to have realized that when he was like naming his kid.
I mean, yeah.
He's literally an author. He has to think about his character names all the time.
Yeah,
maybe he planned like he was like, okay, I'm the horror writer. I'm going to birth children that do other genres, and so the plan was for him to be a comedy writer.
And his only hint to him was his name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, enough Stephen King fan fiction.
Yeah, like maybe I'm projecting on like what happened, but it does seem like really easy to connect those dots in that way.
So anyway, the story opens in 1925 of the night in July.
Yeah. Also, I guess I should say too that I have some criticisms about this book more so than praise. Like that doesn't mean that I thought that it was like totally terrible, but there's just like some things that bothered me.
I mean, we talked about I think we talked about last week already that I remember liking this as a teenager, but I also do remember the parts I hated then, and I still hate them. And wow, do I hate them?
Yeah, I had not read this previously, and so I don't know. It kind of was like meh.
I think when you're a teen, you've only read so much, so you forgive a lot of little things because you're like, at least I like this part. And then, like, when you get older, you're like, they could have just not written that.
Oh wait! I think I know which part you're talking about. I don't know.
It's
Yeah, no, that part. Yeah. No, surprisingly for me, what I remember is actually having like less comics literacy when I was a teen, and so like this book was a little bit less confusing this time, just like as far as like order of events.
Yeah, I do remember it being like a very confusing read. And also, like, I didn't remember a whole lot of it. All I remembered was, like, that I was confused. So I kind of expected, like, a lot more, like, trickery going on. Turns out I was just kind of dumb.
Can't wrap your mind around it.
Yeah.
It's
I
like
mean, really, it was
opposite.
the time jumps that confused me.
I was going to say, like, the time jumps when I was younger, I would just went with the flow. I wasn't, like, taking in too much of the information. I was just like, this is cool, now they're fighting. And now I'm like, oh, man, they're back? And then they're forward?
Yeah. But the thing that I was going to mention, go ahead, Ty.
No, I was moving on.
Okay. I was just going to say that basically I feel like the 1925 people, obviously wasn't there, but feel like the dialogue could have been written a little bit more to, the way that people talked then, based on what I've heard from like movies and stuff, which like maybe it's like the dinosaurs and like, that's just made up by Hollywood. We don't know how they sounded.
Gotcha. Now I think that Stephen King did a better job at making the characters sound how they would talk. Because if what we're saying is correct, that Stephen King did the older storyline, I think they talked more. Or I guess really I should say more like Skinner Wheat. Talked more like, or used more of the lingo of that time.
Yeah. That's true, yeah. Anyway, though, so, book opens with some dead women. They are
like dumped off in the desert somewhere.
Yeah.
Or, well, in 30 miles east of Los Angeles, somewhere.
I mean, it looks like a desert as how it's portrayed.
It's Los Angeles at that time period, so
Mhm.
it's just the middle of the desert.
Mhm. Yeah, and then it
But yeah,
jumps
one
to
of
3
those-
days ago, and
But first, one of those corpses say that I'm alive.
oh yeah, that's right. Good point. And so we jump to 3 days ago, which is we have Hattie and
Pearl.
Pearl. Yeah, that's the main character.
Mhm.
Wow, I did not know that.
And they're I just forgot. But yeah, they're actresses. They're extras though, and they're kind of poor. There's this creepy guy that's sitting out by their girls' home pool, but also like at least Hattie is like kind of attracted to him.
I mean, well, I guess later when he just like tips his hat, and then Pearl's like, "Oh darn it, why are they always so attractive?" I'm like,
Mhm.
Jesus,
Yeah.
it's just a hobo.
Yeah. And then Pearl works like 3 jobs. There's a
Match.
guitarist who works at the Huh?
She works as a matchstick. Well, I believe that's the phrase.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's true.
I didn't know
yeah.
they had a name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they reference it later in the book, too. But yeah, basically a guitarist that works at the club that she works at is all like, hey, you know, I keep asking you to go out with me and you keep saying no. Are you gonna keep saying no? And it's like, yikes. But that's also, I guess, the time, probably.
Can I
And
say
And
that
so they,
it's-
like...
I
Yeah.
mean, well, I was gonna say, like, I don't like the fact that so many of the characters look so similar to each other.
Yes.
That's really annoying.
So you think this guy, who is eventually to be named Henry, looks like Pearl?
No. All the dudes look pretty much similar.
Oh, okay.
And then all the girls look really similar. Like later we see another girl who's part of the villains, Lucia, and she literally looks like Pearl with blonde hair.
Oh,
Like,
no,
I can't.
I thought she looked like Hattie. But yeah, I see
Hattie-
your point.
Yeah, I just got the
He-
freckles.
He's more orange hair.
Well, Hattie at least has freckles, so like
Oh, okay.
delineates her face. But like when they have too much of the same face pattern shape,
Mm-hmm.
I just get confused. Like she could put on a hat and hide her hair, and I'd be like, "Oh, is that Pearl?"
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Same for the dudes.
And then back at their acting job, Pearl gets asked to read lines with the handsome main actor. And he's all like, hey, you're kind of cool. Come to this party that the producer is throwing later tonight. And then they're getting ready to go to that party. And then creepy guy by the pool is all like, don't go to that party. You'll just regret it. It's a real boring.
Mhm.
Really, really boring. I know that guy.
He was really
And she's all like,
convincing,
"What?"
huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I
I
doubt
guess
there's much
he
you can
kind of
say to
tries
be
a little
creepy.
bit.
I doubt there's much you can say when you're the creepy guy in a lawn chair. That would
You
convince
could be like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
love those parties. Do you know how much organ harvesting they do there?" Like,
I
I don't know.
still doubt that would convince anybody.
Yeah, then you're just the crazy
probably not.
guy.
Yeah.
I mean, a little bit more convincing.
I mean, he could have tried harder, that's for sure. Than he
I
did.
think that says something about his character. Obviously, he's like, whatever, it's not me.
Yeah. then they go to the party, and like this was kind of a scene change that was confusing to me. Was like they just kind of like have Pearl narrating. Like at first she's talking, and then she's narrating, and then it's like just showing the main actor guy leading her to her room, and it's like, I don't know, I think I would have, because the narration doesn't like really match up to the events that are going on. It's not directly like her thoughts, it's more of her like previous thoughts, I guess.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that kind of like if it was a movie, it would have worked fine, having like, you know, a little narration over the top of the action. But in this, it didn't really work for me. And then I was all like, oh, so they're just not gonna talk then, or we're not really gonna get to hear their small talk, they're just gonna like, yeah, I don't know,
What
it was weird.
What confused me
But she gets
was the main actor, who's Mr. Hamilton, Chase Hamilton, was with a blonde woman, and then on the stairs he was with Pearl, like right after, and that was what confused me, because I was like, wait, was he with her the whole time? How did she get here? Or well, and then I was like,
yeah,
is it the same girl that was next to him? And then they called her by her name, and then I was like, okay, so I got to go back and I see what I missed.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, basically Chase Hamilton delivers Pearl to the quarters of the movie producer, which also I got these guys mixed up, and now I'm like honestly confused, because I thought that the movie producer was the same guy as the bank owner / railroad owner.
Like, you would assume that because some of the characters from that time are in the present, but they're not the same guy.
Yeah.
And so the movie producer is B.D. Block. And the way he looks, he reminded me of Vandal Savage.
I think it's just the sideburns.
Yeah,
is the only reason that is.
Yeah, yeah.
But that was of the time, so.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. And so, yeah, basically, the movie producer and all of his friends are, surprise, actually vampires, and they pounce on Pearl and attack her. Cut to 1880, Sidewinder, Colorado. It is an author, and he is detailing his novel Bad Blood.
The author's name is Will Bunting.
Yeah, which also, like, I don't know, it's just weird that they had that scene with Henry where it was like talking about baseball terms.
Yeah,
I
was
was
like,
fun.
I
was like, is this Henry? Is he just new alias?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I was like, okay.
They just really like the word bunt.
Yeah. Just do. Yeah, that was one thing that I didn't catch last time I read it in high school, though, is I just didn't have as much baseball terminology, but at the time it was America's favorite pastime, and so now I'm like, oh, okay, I get what the metaphor that he was plainly explaining in that scene. Anyway, though, so yeah, this is both true events but it's presented as fictional events in the novel. But there is, so is this like, I don't know, Jake, I feel like you know most about history, maybe.
Okay.
Were there like non-governmental crime fighting agencies?
Yes,
for like
there
banks
were.
and railroads?
Yeah, if you were a Vanderbilt or a Rockefeller, and like, let's say, you've got these workers who just don't want to work for pennies a day, and they've decided to strike. You just have to go to the Pinkertons, and they'll go and beat up all the striking workers.
I mean, that's the mafia, though.
But not if they're the Pinkertons.
Well, okay, so
The
Pinkerton.
Pinkertons are still
Wait, so
around.
is-
Are you saying
Like,
Pinkertons
they
are
are... Yes, the Pinkertons
Oh.
were real. They are not just an enemy in Red Dead Redemption 2. They were a real...
Well,
like,
also, this is the
pseudo-
Pinkerton agency in this book, too.
Yeah, it's like they were for hire detectives. Like if you didn't have if you were doing shady stuff and somebody like cheated you out of that shady stuff and you can't go to the police, then you go to the Pinkertons.
I mean, not to mention a lot of the territory as you went further west or whatever, less government reach.
Mm-hmm.
That as well, where it's like, yeah, that's Indian territory. We don't go there. It's like, oh, you just hire the Pinkertons. They'll go there.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. So now that colors my interpretation of this character. Like, they're all like, he's such a hero. And I'm like,
Yeah, the Pinkertons
I guess-
are not heroes. Specifically not heroes.
I mean, they literally say that they caught him just because he was sleeping in, like, a brothel or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like sleeping off a hangover somewhere, and like they just happened to catch him.
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, this is like a true bad guy. Bad guy is Skinner Sweet that they catch. And, because he's just like killed so many people.
He also stole from the bank,
I-
which is really what they trying to get him.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
no,
that's
that's what matters.
That's why they hired the Pinkertons, is because
As the one, what is it, the railroad guy says, you can't cross us. You need to make a lesson out of this.
this.
But there's the one line they say to Skinner, which is like, it was a 3-year-old. I'm like, what are they talking about?
I don't know.
Yeah, there's never like a really clear explanation of Skinner's crimes in this book. Like we're told he's a criminal, and like he definitely acts like a criminal, and I believe that he has done criminal things, but like we're never told like, oh yeah, he robbed this bank and then he murdered these people and then he got away. It's like there's never like a really clear scene of like.
I mean, they
Here's
talk
what
about his
happened.
latest thing. They're like, oh, the latest thing he did, and then where they hid out in the abandoned mine afterwards. But yeah, it seems like he has a pretty long career.
Yeah, and I think that basically, like, without doing too much, like, heavy lifting of, like, true, like, flashbacks and stuff, I think that they just want to establish him as, like, a real bad dude, so when he, spoiler for the next, like, couple pages, he becomes a vampire, I think that, they want to, like, be able to say, okay, well, this is why he's, like, being so deranged. It's like the Carnage symbiote, It's like, because, you have to be able to say, well, this is why Pearl is not going to be, like, as kill-y.
Bloodthirsty
Murderous.
is the.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I mean, it's fairly effective. Like, I believe that he's a bad guy, but, like, I wish there would have been a little more, like, pen to paper. This, like, I understand why the bank hates him. I want to know why, like, people don't like him.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, they already showed, like, in that scene, they're like, oh, not only are we going to rob this place, but we're going to assault a few people. It's like, okay.
Oh, yeah, they did that, like, bank flashback scene where it was like, oh, yeah, we're robbing the bank. My guy in my gang really likes little boys, and I'm just okay with that.
Did they say that? It looked just like a random man that he grabbed.
I guess it could have been men,
Yeah.
but, like, the thing is, like, when he says, like,
But he
Catholic
does say-
tastes,
Okay,
it's
he does
like,
say that.
oh,
yeah.
you like
I guess
dudes, I guess.
I was gonna
which
say
isn't
like I was gonna say what kids are at like it wasn't a bank, it was the mine. It was like the place where they have the payroll
No.
for the miners, I guess. So it was a bank, right?
No, yeah, it was a bank. It was just
okay.
that the vault was loaded because for payroll.
Okay, I thought they were like at a specific
Um,
mining place. So I was gonna be like, why do they have kids there? And I was like, oh yeah, there's also child labor back then. So never mind. Either way.
Yeah, that could have been a 14-year-old
but-
father or two. Yeah.
Yeah, that dude had a mustache.
No, the panel.
Yeah, that dude.
Yeah, he has a mustache
That's
and like a
okay.
missing eye, which I mean, kids can have missing eyes, but not a mustache.
Old one eye. He's gonna turn 18 soon.
Yeah. I assumed that he just meant, that he was,
Into dudes.
yeah, that he liked men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess
yeah.
when he said
which-
it with like Catholic tastes, I kind of just like assumed like, oh yeah, I know what the Catholics are about.
Yeah. No.
But
which,
I think
mean,
that
also,
I think that's a good way of like establishing just in a single scene that he goes above and beyond as far as crimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A little bit unfortunate that, like, that was the only, like, inclusion of any, like, out gay character.
I would
It's
not
like,
go that far to say that.
I don't know.
I should
I'd
say
say
based-
1920. Actually, no, it was 1880 in this.
Based on the like track record of like also the fact that they just really love to be racist with the one, is it Skinner's dialogue only? I think it's a few different
I think
people's
so, yeah.
dialogue.
Yeah.
Or it's just like
Yeah.
I only think of Skinner.
I don't know. I guess. Well, it wasn't just Skinner. Like even the one dude was like, "Oh man, can't wait for my dad to be mayor," and the other guy's like, "Oh, really?" and then calls him a word,
Yeah.
which is like for the
No.
time, but it's also like, damn.
Did I also remember reading someone say colored? Like something about colored people?
That could have been either part of the story, but also, yeah, probably.
I don't remember it, but also like, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Like in a story about vampires, I know you're trying to be historical, but also like sometimes you just don't need it. You're too busy writing about
Yeah.
vampires.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I agree with that, and yeah, basically, yeah, the racism and just the general. See, and okay, so this is a thing. Like we read earlier in the summer, "Undiscovered Country" by Scott Snyder, and he seems to position like I feel like he thinks that he's just all like, I'm putting America just like right on the table as it is, all the good stuff and all the bad stuff, but he still accidentally like, overinflates the good stuff. I feel like. And like, I don't know, I just sometimes like I can't keep track of his like personal narrative of what he thinks of America. He writes about it a lot, but I don't understand.
So it feels a little unfocused.
Yeah. Cause yeah, it's like basically, yeah, I guess it's just like for me it's like the idea that like one, there is like a lot of this like, which was also an undiscovered country, like this kind of like manifest destiny attitude, which yes, like it's the 1880s, it's like kind of cowboys, but it's like you have like a couple of Mexican characters, but you don't have like any Native Americans or any immigrant characters really, like.
And even the people who are Mexican, like their skin color is like slightly a little bit darker. Look, we deviated from the normal skin color we do.
Yeah.
Like I only realized he was Mexican because they do the same face too. So I only realized he was Mexican when his friend calls him a slur.
Yeah. It's a little bad.
Well, I mean, I was going off of his last name. I was like, Seems like a.
Oh yeah, like they call him like Deputy Camillo or Camillo. I don't know how you pronounce that name.
Mm-hmm. That's true. But yeah, basically, anyway, getting back to the story though. So they're on the train. They captured Skinner's suite, but then he's talking to the Pinkerton agent that captured him, and he's all like, "If you unlock me and get me my candy, then I'll tell you about where the missing treasure is from the bank that I robbed from." And then so
I didn't even get that
he,
part.
like, you know, basically first tell.
Like, I didn't realize that's what he was saying.
Yeah.
He didn't say unlock though. I thought he was just like, "Give me my candy."
Oh yeah, right. Sorry, you're correct. Because he uses
Take
the candy.
these hand jackals off of me.
Yeah. Okay, so he just wants the candy. You're right. Which that's why they call him Skinner Sweet, is because he has, like, you know, a sweet tooth.
Yeah, just really likes candy.
So
I don't know.
Yeah.
Was candy even that good back then? Or was it just like anything to break up living in the Old West in like 1860?
I thought you were about to say anything to break up eating dirt constantly.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's sugar.
From what I know, it was honestly the heyday of candy and soda. Like,
oh yeah, because they could put cocaine in it. Right?
Soda.
Yeah.
What?
I don't.
That's right.
Yeah,
you could do that back in the day.
That's true.
Maybe that's.
Well, they weren't putting cocaine in the candy, though, were they?
I mean, you could put it in
Probably
Coca-Cola,
not.
though. But, like, you could put laudanum or opium or, like, literally anything else that, like, you would never give to a kid now. Like, you could just, like, hand out back then.
It's a bad sign that
okay.
I want to talk more about history than this book.
Yeah. Yeah, basically, if there was any drugs in the candy, it was probably marketed as a lozenge. More than a candy, but I mean, it was still, like, you know, when a lot of candies were being created. Like, I think, well, the Reese's Cup I don't think was made until the 20th century, but there was a lot of them coming out. So, you know,
Hershey's start.
But yeah, so
Hershey's.
The Pinkerton agent that was talking to Skinner is named James Book, and he just got tired of Skinner talking, and he gave him a candy. And then he told the story about him robbing the bank, and then James was like, "All right, hey Felix Camillo, look after this guy." And Felix Camillo in this scene is very jumpy, I guess, like weak-skinned or thin-skinned, I guess. I'm not sure how the best way to say that.
He's probably a bit more amateur, right?
Yeah. Because, like, he sits down in front of him, and then Skinner's like, "Boo," and he's like, "Ugh." But
yeah, and basically, oh, you go ahead.
So yeah, Skinner. So Felix is just looking away from Skinner. Big mistake, and Skinner unlocks the handcuffs and then threatens Felix.
Well, he unlocks it using his candy.
Yeah.
Which, no wonder he keeps it in his hat and lets it get hard as a rock. Jesus Christ.
I don't know. He definitely, like, we skipped over the part because, like, as he's doing this, we're shown, like, that the railroad tracks have been cut. We kind of skipped over, like, the rest of his gang is, like, trying to do a breakout at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Also, is there a real lockpick that is encased in the candy, or does he just, like, because at first I was under the impression that he just molds it into a lockpick, but now looking at that panel, it really looks like there's something inside of the candy. Thoughts?
It could be.
It would be smart, I guess, to keep it in candy and always keep it in your hat.
Yeah, I don't know.
I I didn't pay attention that closely to it. I was just like, I guess the candy works. Locks are pretty
I
bad
thought
back then. I don't know.
I thought that the candy
Yeah.
was on James' hat. So, I didn't realize that Skinner had it.
Skinner Sweets, yeah.
Yeah, so the train crashes.
Yeah, it was his hat. And
The train crashes, and then Skinner is escaping, but then, takes the time to try and attack James' book, talking about his fiance, being like, oh yeah, I sent her some champagne earlier.
Yeah, poison wine, apparently.
Is that what it was? I didn't realize that.
I think so,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, that's what, like, when
It's
he says
red.
it's a real nasty vintage, it's like, oh, poison. It's not just bad wine. Like, what's the point of just, like...
I interpreted it not that way.
It's like, yeah, I sent
Just
your
kill her of
fiancé some
dysentery.
poorly reviewed wine. I really got you.
No, I thought it was an innuendo. Like, that's where I was going with it. Nasty.
What did he do?
Yeah, innuendo for
Nasty.
poison.
He just gives her a stomach bug and she dies of the stomach bug. Okay.
yeah.
And he also included a note from Booker, whatever his face is, right? So
Booker.
she thinks that's from her lover. So she's obviously going to be like, thinking of him when she dies of poison.
Yeah, okay, so
Yeah.
why I didn't get that was because he was, like, bleeding. And I was like,
That's the wine, isn't it?
It's-
I
yeah.
thought
I'm
it
gonna
was
say it's
blood.
some of both. It's like the... Oh, did you guys ever see Hateful Eight?
Mm-mm.
It's
No.
like, it's that kind of poison, is what I assumed.
I mean, when you're killing someone via their stomach, it would probably be something like that. You're spitting up blood. But I do think it was mostly wine, too.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the... I guess, yeah, that's the cinematic quality of, like, red wine. You get to be, like, symbolic about that stuff.
Oh, I love that. I want to draw that now.
Yeah. Also, this Percy guy, I had no idea who he was until, like, issue 2.
Yeah, he's a vampire, but also, like, a business tycoon.
Well, he was the banker that Skinner stole from, is what I understand.
Yeah.
He's a tycoon. I think
Yeah.
he just owns a bunch of stuff, including the bank.
Maybe.
Is that not what a tycoon is? What makes a tycoon?
Well,
Oh, I
mean,
think it's I specifically owning, like, having, like, a monopoly. I think either, like, full, like, horizontal or full vertical. Yeah, I think it's full vertical, like, owning all the steps of the production process.
Yeah.
This says a wealthy, powerful person in business or industry, a newspaper tycoon. And then,
Oh, so it's just that you just have to be rich to be a tycoon. Okay.
I mean,
or you gotta also
I was
own
just
a big
going off
industry.
of all the
Yeah.
roller coaster tycoon games I played.
I think this is an interesting definition. So its second definition is a title applied by foreigners to the shogun of Japan in power between 1857 and 1868.
That's a translation thing, though, right?
Yeah, I think that's just like, okay, how do we explain to Americans, like, what the shogun is?
So okay.
Because, like, the shogun is,
Yeah.
I think, like, past a president in powers. I think. I could be, don't quote me on that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, basically, yeah, Booker and Skinner Sweet, like, fight it out, duke it out.
James loses.
James loses. But then he gets confronted by Percy, who gets shot, and then Percy is still walking, though, because he's a vampire. and he bites Skinner and kills him, kind of, half kills him.
Well, like starts to,
Yeah,
because Sweet still has enough to shoot him, and then that's where like blood gets into his eye, and that's how like ostensibly he becomes a vampire.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, they kind of hinted at it earlier when they had him so pale in the railroad car or whatever.
Yeah, just talking about needing more sun cream, which is just weird.
Yeah. Also, I find it really silly that he invented sunscreen.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, I don't know. I get it. It was kind of...
Is it sunscreen? Like, we don't know. That's just some cream he's brewed up.
But like, I understand the practical application for him specifically.
Yeah.
Because like, it would be weird if like you can only see the Rockefellers under like moonlight. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah.
You know.
I get the
There you go.
I get the practical application. I just, it's like it, and I get that it was probably a novel idea in 2010, but like 10 years later, it just didn't age well to me. Where it's like, he invented sunscreen. He's a vampire.
What a dork.
It's just like it seems a little too, I don't know, on the nose.
I mean, so did they actually say he invented sunscreen? Like, did they ever say?
Yeah, I seem to remember hearing them say it's just like sun cream, like for specifically other vampires to be able to like go out in the sun.
Well, I knew that he just used it. I didn't know he invented it.
I don't even think they can go out in the sun using it. They have to they can just be like adjacent to the sun. Like he's looking out the window, or the window light is shining in, and he's already like.
Right. Well, I mean, but that's when he was saying, "Oh, you guys aren't prepared." That's why my motto is "You prepare" with sunscreen or sun cream, whatever.
Yeah, I'll have to see if I can find the part, but I think that he invented it, but maybe I just made that up.
I mean, sure, he invented it, but I just don't know if it's ever said that it's usable for humans for the same purposes. Like, is he going to suddenly start profiting off of it? Sunscreen King.
Sunscreen Tycoon, yes. That's, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Will Bunting is one of the people on the train witnessing this stuff transpire, so that's where he got the inspiration for the book. Through events.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then moving on to chapter 2.
Yeah. So basically we see we're back to 1925, and Hattie and what's his name? Is that supposed to be
Henry?
Henry. There we go. Oh, do they sometimes call him Hank? That's a thing that people used to do, is call people Henry, Hank.
I don't think so. Not in this book.
Possibly. I'll throw a maybe in there.
Okay, because I feel like I heard somebody refer to him as Hank, but again, I read this like really fast. But yeah, so it's Henry. His face does not look like his face in this like first page panel. He just doesn't look the same to me, so that was confusing. But
yeah, he looks like a young guy.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, he's not old.
Well, I mean, he doesn't look 30. When I say young guy, I mean like young 20s. I
don't know. Maybe all the cocaine kept him young. I don't know.
Anyway, so he goes to check up on Pearl, and Lottie lets
Hattie.
him into
Hattie.
her room. Or Hattie, right?
Yeah.
Oh, these character names are gonna get me. Hattie lets him into her room, and the bed is not slept in. So they go out to where the party was, and they find her up and walking with big old bites out of her. And she's like dying. And so they take her to the hospital, and they're all like, sorry, she's gonna die. She's had too much blood loss.
Also,
and then,
too, there's like poison in her blood or something.
Late that... No, there's not poison in her blood.
Well, they did say that it wasn't just
don't
the
say
blood
that.
loss.
Well, organ failure.
Well,
There's
no,
like damage done
it's
to
the
her organs.
bites aren't the problem. Losing all that blood has caused like irreparable damage to parts of her body that like
Oh, okay.
weird. Those need blood.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it is the 4th of July. Fireworks are going off in the night. And Skinner Sweet jumps up into the window of the hospital and bites his lip and spits some blood in there. He doesn't spit it. He kisses it in like a weirdo.
And then we get this scene,
Pearl has a nightmare.
which I don't know if it is ever explained. Like, who is
No,
this?
I
guy?
think it's just a
don't know.
nightmare.
Wait,
It's
a nightmare?
it's supposed to be her dad. I think it's just a nightmare. Like it's
Oh,
not like
Yeah,
a story thing.
yeah, it's just her
Yeah.
remembering her, being a kid on the
Mhm.
farm, and then she sees her dad, but now it's infected with this idea of vampires because she just had this really traumatic event.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And then she wakes up in a little morgue room with a bunch of dead people because she was dead.
Mhm.
And she clicks on a light, and there's Skinner Sweet, sitting in a bed too, and he basically is all like, "You were dead. Look at us. We look like funhouse mirrors and normal mirrors."
I wish they would have just said, "We're
Yeah, that's
Which,
a
like,
weird.
did the-
That's a weird change
Yeah.
from that part of the mythology.
Yeah, instead of not
Oh,
being able to see them in
mirrors.
mirrors, right? Now it's
Yeah, because
man,
it's
they
like
look a little weird.
yeah, because like mirrors used to be backed with silver, and so it's something about souls don't. It's a reflection of your soul in the silver, where vampires don't have souls, so they aren't seen.
I did not know that."
Now in this case, they just have loopy souls.
Mhm.
Yeah, because they're American. I
Also,
don't
they're a new type
know.
of vampire.
Yeah, that's true. He kind of tells her that, and he's like, "Well, I'm not going to explain it too much." And I'm
Mhm.
like, I don't think he knows that much, to be honest.
Yeah, that could be it.
He probably wouldn't be the type to explore how to kill himself, would he?
Mhm.
I mean, he's had like 20 years
That's true.
between like becoming a vampire and like making this new vampire.
Okay, and I should
and
say,
it seems like
we do get introduced to a vampire much later who's like, "Oh, I can feel it in my bones. This is how you kill me." And I'm like, really?
Mhm.
I mean, I'll allow it because it's like it's dumb mythology anyway. So it's like, yeah, sure, they get some knowledge of themselves. Sure,
I was going to say, it's literally just a tool so that they don't have to figure it out. He can just be like, "Oh, I know."
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, "All right, I'm out of here. We are the evolution." He makes a car reference. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
"Their BD Block and his gang are Oldsmobiles, and then we're the 1967 Chevy or something."
Not
1920
67.
1926. 1926 Fords.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
I do kind of like that. He's like, the newest craze, those
Mhm.
Fords.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then he just kind of leaves, and he's like, "I left you a list," but then like he's like, "Actually, I still don't want to tell you what our deal is,
Mhm.
just their deal."
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty much the stuff he already said. I think it's just written out in list form, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's like, I don't want to ruin the surprise when they say anything about us. I'm like, oh, really? Okay.
I should say, he did leave. He left her a gift in the closet. I should say that from this point forward, she's a very successful vampire for a new one.
Yeah.
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 The present is
also,
Chase Hamilton.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chase Hamilton, who took her to that party in the first place.
Yep.
Which, yeah, that's, I mean, nice is a strong word because, like, he is offering somebody else to get murdered, but, like, also that person facilitated the murder of... We don't even know how many women at this point. It's like, how long has this been going on? So it's like, yeah, I don't really feel bad for Hamilton, but...
Yeah, I mean, well, they were dumping that truck full of women in the desert, so, you know,
every single
and Skinner knew about these parties, so I'm all like, probably pretty often.
Yeah.
And then we find him in his actor room, emaciated.
Yeah, so that's another thing where, like, man, she's really good at just walking around with a dead body, I guess. She set it up to be found that way.
I don't know.
Yeah, because they were supposed to be in, like, a morgue hospital place, you know?
Yeah.
And then he's just like, I'll eat him and then put him in his dressing room.
Yeah, she had to get him there.
Yeah. Pretty strange. Pretty dramatic.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say becoming a vampire lends you the ability to be, like, extra.
I was gonna say I would think, she'd convince him to take her to his dressing room or something, and then eat him there and then leave. That would be smart. But she got blood all over the boarding house, didn't she? Because she's like, sorry, Hattie, and then, like, isn't there.
Yeah. Which, yeah, that means that she went from like the hospital or wherever, you know, her dead body was, to her boarding house, to the dressing room, or, you know, maybe dressing room then boarding house, but still it's like blood everywhere.
What if the
very messy.
The dressing room was across the street from the morgue?
Yeah, but why would it be, though?
It's still,
It's a
if
small
she
town.
tracked blood in, if she
It's
tracked
Los
blood
Angeles.
into the
What do you mean, small
house,
town?
In 1925.
Yeah, I doubt she's
It
in an
was still...
I should say, I doubt she's in an expensive hospital, so it probably wouldn't be close to the expensive movie place.
Oh.
And also, if she tracked blood into the boarding house afterwards, where was the blood before that? So it'd just be a trail all the way across the street, even if it was, like, just across the street.
Yeah, so then we go to Will Bunting revealing the fact that his story called Bad Blood is true. And it's a re-release of Bad Blood at this point. So he continues from what happened after the train crashed, and Skinner's suite was buried, and James' book was in the hospital, and he woke up. Oh, okay, I get it. Yeah, so he woke up and they said, "Oh yeah, your fiance died," and that's where we were discussing before, where she died, and the wine is on the floor, which I thought was blood, but now looking at it, I get it now, and that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah,
it's wine.
I'm sure it's a mix.
And then so James spits on Skinner Sweet's grave, and he's like, "Oh, let's go, boys." And I love how Will Bunting's like, "Can I tag along?" And the response is always, "Yeah, keep up."
Yeah. So then the next scene in this issue is like, you know, the European vampires, like, you know, gathering, having a little meeting, and like kind of mad, honestly, that they like, because one of them is like probably like British or something, and then another one is Russian, and another one's German, and I'm like, so what cool fancy vampire powers do you guys have then? Because you're from different places.
Yeah, what makes them an American vampire? Can you, like, do you have to be born in America to be an American vampire?
Different hemisphere?
I would. It's just magic. It's that American spirit, Cody.
It's probably a little bit more of the idea that, because he calls it evolution, so I'm assuming it's the idea that these guys are really old, and if you bite enough people, you start to get some variations. But the fact that he gets bitten by the super old vampire, assuming Percy's super old, the tycoon guy, and then he's this new vampire, and then just next person he bites is gonna have like the exact same skill set as him.
I think it's more I think it's more along the lines of like how some people view American history, like the Revolutionary War, where Britain was like towering over us, and then we were like, we just want to be free, okay? We don't want to deal with you, all right? We have our own way of doing things. You don't come in here and start telling us what to do. So we're gonna fight back, you know?
It's
his
like
vampire genes decided to fight back against.
No.
It's
you're
the American
making it too complicated.
spirit.
It's the story. It's the way the story's laid out. Don't even think about specifics.
What were you about to say, Jake? The American spirit.
It's the American spirit. It's like Texas to America is what America is to Europe.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, but then vampires.
No, but they're like the Lone Star State, you know, like Republic of Texas. We were like our own country before we became a part of America.
That's a
even though that
personal
was kind of the plan
choice.
all along. But like, no, that's like the point I'm making is like America's independent and different, and all these Europeans are trying to tell us what to do, but we're not gonna let them.
So, going back to me trying to figure out the story logic or the actual world building logic. So they got bit.
No. You're thinking
they
too
got
much.
bit, and they were like, "No, I'm not going to be like you." And then they just became a better vampire.
Because they're Americans. Yes.
Yep.
They're so darn stubborn.
Okay.
They're like, "I'm going to be able to walk in the sun."
They're independent.
They explicitly say though in this that when you are from somewhere else, you get new tricks, and so I'm like, they've got to have.
I didn't know that.
And that was that.
That's what Skinner says, though. I don't really think he's done any research, does he? Or is that what Bunting says?
Like, the European thing is going to be that, like, all of the royal families and, like, all the power are basically kind of the same. Like, they all intermarry, and it's, like, the last... I was
about to say inbreeding, yeah.
Like, yeah, they're all, like, kind of, like, a European royal family. Like, even Russia was, like, the last Tsar of Russia was, like, married to a German who was raised in England. And it's, like, they're all basically kind of the same.
Okay, I can believe that. But also, I do want to see, like, it probably gets explored in later volumes, but I really just, like, I know that this is called American Vampire, but I already want to see other kinds of vampires from other places.
Australian vampires.
Watch Supernatural.
I have more volumes, and all I can remember is that it gets even more confusing because there's more time skips.
Good.
I remember the Vietnam War in one of them.
Well, yeah, like at the end of this one, I think it's in the Scott Snyder, like afterward, where it's like, all right, next time, World War II, we're doing it.
I thought they were just going to continue the Pearl story.
I mean, they can,
she's
because
immortal.
she's a vampire. So, like, they can. It's just like Henry's not going to be there,
Uh,
or is going to be old.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, World War II? He could be around in World War II.
Yeah, but he wouldn't be
That's
like
like
a soldier.
20%.
He would be like 50 going on 60 at that point, though.
Well, that was less
Unless
than
she
20
bit
years
him.
from now.
It seems to be really easy to make another person a vampire. So
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they make Henry a vampire, yeah?
okay, yeah, should keep going.
Anyway, yeah. So yeah, basically they the vampires are talking about building a dam in this town, and then and also like whether like Skinner Sweet as a vampire could like possibly be a thing.
Mhm. So,
Okay,
He's like
that
eating rats
part.
in his grave.
mhm.
Oh my god, that part is so dumb. Because literally, what is it? They're like, oh man, us as vampires, the European vampires, we, water keeps us down, so even if he is alive in his grave, he could never get out. And, like, the fact that they weren't worried that he would get up as a vampire before they put him in his grave, or before they built the dam in 3 years' time.
Mhm.
Like, meanwhile, what is it? Pearl, like, woke up within, like, a day or something. A few days. And she's like, I'm a vampire now.
Well, he did wake up, but for some reason he just didn't try to escape. He was just like,
I mean, like,
I'm good here.
I would
said
say
he's
it's
weak,
dumb,
right?
but they were right. Like, he didn't get out.
Yeah.
But that's just dumb. That's just dumb luck. That's
But
not
they
like,
were right.
I can't wait for the dam we're gonna build in 3 years' time when it's gonna keep him down then.
So what,
And that's
what
like-
I got the inkling, but didn't really realize was that the plan was to build the dam to flood Sidewinder. I didn't quite get that. I was like, oh no, our research says that they're gonna be flooded within 3 years. And then
Well, I mean, that's not
That
the
doesn't-
only
I-
thing. It's like they also get to make a bunch of money off of that. But, like,
Yeah, they were just like, might as well. There, too.
it's a,
I
yeah,
should
it's-
say, that's like 1,000 days for them to get this dam up and running to make sure he stays down. Hope
Mhm.
nothing goes wrong in those days, and it didn't. So they're lucky.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
this is like did they decide to go to New Mexico at this point? They meaning
Mm,
James, Will, and Felix.
Oh, well, like, they go to Cruces for the funeral of Book's former fiance. And
Okay.
then, like, then they leave. And, like, it's like the authors talk about all the adventures he had with Book and Camillo, where it's like, yeah, we went to Arizona, and we went to Nevada.
Yeah.
killed a 15-year-old.
Yeah, that too.
Mm-hmm. Got
Very
married.
casual. Like, I mean,
During that time, I was kind of an adult already.
Yeah, that's old enough to be, like, man of the house, if his dad was dead. But,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people have their opinion on the death penalty.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Felix gets married to Benita, and in 1886, and then they have a
Mm-hmm.
child in 1890 named Abelina, but Benita dies giving birth to Abelina. And meanwhile, we have some people. Oh, so they built a new town over Sidewinder called Lakeview, and some idiots decide, we're going to look for Skinner Sweet's body. Or, find a corpse that could pass as Skinner Sweet's body.
I do like it. Yeah, they're diving in this like lake area, and they're like, "We'll just find a skull or something, and we'll just say, it's his."
Yeah.
It's like, they're not looking for a payday. They have already been paid or, like, have been contracted to, like, just go find a body and I'll give you some money. So it's like, it's not the dumbest. And it's a pretty easy way to make money if he wasn't a vampire.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. So he.
And that gives him just enough strength.
Mhm.
to kill them and get moving.
Man, he is one ugly looking vampire. Oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then
I
so
don't know. Like,
Yeah,
he emerges.
as far as monsters go, he's okay.
He emerges on the hill over Lakeview, and he's like, "All right, I want some candy." Yeah. So then,
and then we're on to chapter 3.
yep, in 1925, Pearl shows up to tell Hattie, "Hey, you should get out, cause I'm be slaying some vampires, and you don't want to be here when that goes down." And then she just leaves, and then we get BD Block and his gang of vamps talking about, this Skinner sweet dude, and he's just taunting us. And I'm assuming they're talking about the fact that he created a new vampire. I don't know if they know that yet, but I'm fairly certain they do.
No, I think that at this point they think that he might do it, but they don't think that he has, because they have a treaty basically that I think they're implying means that he can stay alive, but he isn't allowed to create any more American vampires like himself.
Oh, gotcha. So then,
Which I was just gonna say, given the end of the story, like, seems like how did they come to that deal? Because it seems like they wanted to come to that deal, and then Percy gets dead, and so Skinner is just like free to do whatever he wants. So I'm like, I don't know. Seems like he could just kill all you guys like really easy, and you're just like pretending to be superior to him.
Well, I mean, there's superiority in numbers. In other words.
Yeah, I guess so. But anyway, so back to what's happening right now in the story, though.
So yeah, BD Block tells Edgar and Lucia to look for Sweet, I think is what he said. And so they get in the is it called a stagecoach? Or is that with the horse?
Oh yeah, that's a car is what that is. In the book, it's a car. They just have a driver.
And so Pearl catches up to them and then just kills them all real easy.
Yeah, rips off the face of one person.
Yeah, Edgar. And yeah, then she goes to Henry, skipping over some pages.
Oh, I just got the part with the pines, or what are they? The cactus spikes. I was like, I don't know, that's just kind of a weird detail to talk about, because I forgot that you had to stab them with wood,
I should say you're supposed to stake him through the heart, though, right? So those better be some long cactus.
I mean, sometimes.
I mean, they are. You can.
They look short to me.
It was like
Well, they do.
After the crash, when she stakes Edgar, like he gets it kind of like in the shoulder, like upper chest. Like it could have been the heart, but it seems like it's mostly just wood.
I mean, I guess if you think of it as a knife, then being stabbed by a bunch of tiny little knives, I guess, would work.
It's not pleasant.
Yeah.
I'll say that. It's just like probably not great.
Yeah. Yeah, so she goes to Henry and says, yeah, I'm just... I just went through some stuff, and you're not going to believe me if I tell you. He's like, oh, please, this is nothing that can shock me. And then so she explains, and he's kind of like, what? Nah. Seriously? Like, yeah. And he's like, okay, you can sleep here. And then she gets a...
Yeah.
call the next night. I can catch that. The next night, she gets a call, and it's BD Block, and he's got Hattie. And he's like, meet us at the Hollywoodland sign. And that's a real historical thing, right? It was at one point called Hollywoodland.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, she takes off without Henry, and then takes Henry's car. I'm under the assumption, or it's just
Yeah.
it's Henry's car. And then we get
Yeah.
and then we go back to Will Bunting talking about the fact that the book that he wrote is based off of true stories. There's a historian challenging him, being like, these are like some strange claims you're making about actual historical figures. Like, history doesn't agree with you. And he's like, I'm telling the story here. Shut up.
He calls him a backseat historian. I'm like, I'm sure he's just a historian, dude.
Yeah. Also, I'm getting more bothered by it now than when I first read it, but like, there is some bad font choices in this book.
Really?
Like, really bad. Yeah, if on this chapter, like the next page where we go to Lakeview, Colorado, 1909, and then the page after that, there's like drugstore, wonder of the age, telephone your friends, and it's like those fonts that looks like a computer image.
Yeah.
Like
I see what you mean.
they pasted that on with computers.
Yeah, that looks very bright. That looks like neon. I'm like, do they have
Which
neon?
page?
But the page after where we see Lakeview, Colorado.
Yeah, not in 1909. They shouldn't have neon yet. Yeah. So, yeah, and that's like basically all storefront signs have like that kind of like bold impact font. And I'm like, does not work for me.
Gotcha. Yeah, so he's Will Bunting is continuing the story. We're at Lakeview, Colorado in 1909, and that's when Skinner Sweet comes into the Lakeview town, and he sees the sign, and then Skinner, with his eloquent language, calls the mayor a taco bender. Yeah, not good word.
Yeah. Gonna say that's not an official slur, but it's
yeah.
They're doing their best. They're trying.
It's creative. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
I won't give them that. It's not
wait. Actually, hold on. If they said taco bender, does that mean that they ate tacos like a plate? And then they're saying that
the taco shell, like a hard shell, is just like a twice cooked tortilla to make it hard.
Bending the shell, isn't it?
What?
Yeah.
No, I'm lost.
So we'll talk semantics of tacos later.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know if I want to get into
mechanics
this.
is not what we can base up on
I don't know if I want to explain his offensive term that much right now.
Yeah. So anyway, Skinner breaks into a store that sells candy.
A candy store. Yeah.
And then the owner comes in. He's like, "Hey, stop it!" And Skinner proceeds to eat him or bite him.
Yeah. So that whole scene, Skinner has a sweet tooth and he's so hungry, and so he goes in there for candy, and he's like, "What the heck? I'm not getting full. This isn't helping." And then the dude shows up and he's like, "Now I see something I'm hungry for."
Yep.
Yeah, and then is he just like peeing on the lawn of City Hall? Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
That wasn't. All right. They could have made that clear, but also at the same time they also could have just cut it. I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But yeah, he's like, basically the cops come up on him and they're all like, "Hey, bud, indecent exposure. We're gonna have to
Mm-hmm.
take you in." And he's all like, "Nope, I'm just gonna slash your arm off and kill you." Um,
And then,
and
yeah, he
then
pretty
that
much
leads to
kills
everybody
who,
dying.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
everybody in his reach has got to die now.
Yeah. And then we
Mhm.
get Percy and his posse of vamps witnessing this. And they're like, man, Inner Sweet is a vampire. See, we told you. Like, Percy was like, shut up.
Yeah.
And they were like, how are we supposed to get...
Who
how are we
could have
supposed
seen
to...
this coming?
Right? It's like, how are we supposed to get him? He's walking in daylight. Like, we can't even... even putting on sunscreen isn't going to help us. So some... I don't know if this is the same dude, but some dude shows up to the mayor, who is Hector Camillo, the father of Felix. And they're like, we need to confront this Skinner Sweet guy. And then, so they start firing at Skinner Sweet. Obviously, that nothing happens to him, because he's a vampire. But then Skinner's like, all right, Hector, tell me where James is. And he's like, well, James. So this was the weird part to me. James' book is in Cruces, something like that, New Mexico. Same town where his old deputy lives with his daughter. Okay, old deputy? You mean your son? Your son, right?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
Which also
wait.
that was like weird like relationship stuff that I was all like, I got a little confused who was who, because first of all, the person who's supposed to be the mayor looks like the same uniform as a police officer.
Yeah.
So that was confusing.
No, so
And then
the other guy, the guy who's in uniform, isn't the mayor. It's the other guy with the beard.
Really?
oh.
Because and also, I don't know why, because he's like, I'm making a citizen's arrest, and he's like, easy there, mayor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, if you're the mayor, can you really make a citizen's arrest? Aren't you just like,
He's
gonna
still
get
a citizen. And if I guess if the police are dead, you can still make a citizen's arrest even if you're the mayor.
But don't you like command the police so it's just a normal arrest?
I
What
kind
if
of
you're
assumed the
off
police
duty?
were dead.
What if you're an off
Like, he's
cop?
not...
It's just the weirdest line. I don't know. Citizen's arrest.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was more common back then, where, sometimes there aren't police around, and you can't, call 911 because there's not telephones in every house. So I think citizens' arrests were more common.
I mean, yeah, I do think so. I just think it's a weird line for that specific situation where you just watched a man get dynamited by this man, and you're like, hold on there, I'm arresting you as a citizen.
Okay,
Yeah.
I see. That is the mayor. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's a mayor, because he, the next page, he's beheaded him, and he's going to taunt whoever shows up next with his head.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
he
yeah.
sends a telegram to Felix.
Yeah, he sends a telegram to Felix. He wants it for Felix to see.
Mm-hmm.
That's why that head was special.
Yep.
So, which character was this mayor in the original scene where they were first on the train?
Yeah, that dude, I don't know who he was.
I don't think it was the same guy.
Yeah, it's just these characters, they don't give them enough originality and enough
Mm-hmm.
explanation other than oh, that's his father. It's like, wait, but Skinner Sweet knows who he is, so who is he?
Right.
It
Yeah,
says books
I don't know.
old boss Finch.
Oh, okay. So, but don't like
But-
this.
I only know that because Skinner said it, though.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the telegram gets to Felix, James, Abelina, and Will. And they're like, oh, they've got my father. Let's go. And there's that line again where Will's like, "Can I tag along?" And they're like, "Hey, just keep up."
Yeah.
Can I say Avelina's design is very original and creative, and I am being sarcastic?
Oh man, I thought it was original and creative too.
Yeah, the rose, the very subtle rose in the hair. Then don't worry, she's a woman. We've given her a low neckline.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's much worse later. When she there's a panel, I'm like, whoa, okay, that's a little much.
I mean, it can only get worse. I should say when they do remove the rose from her, when they remove the rose from her hair, I went, sort of looks like another person. I couldn't tell it was her, which is always a good sign too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then we go to Percy, and he's talking about, oh yeah, so they're on their way to meet Skinner. Well, this could work in our favor. You know, either Skinner's gonna die or they're gonna die, and in which case we're gonna make a deal with Skinner. And then they're like, oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
How are you gonna know they're gonna make a deal? And he was like, America, we make a deal.
America's about business, even
Yeah.
for vampires.
Yeah. And then cut back to this is actually a flashback for Pearl, in that this is when she first met
We're on a new chapter
Hattie.
now.
Yeah, new chapter. And
They were not that great at showing me it's a flashback, I should say.
No.
Because I thought it was
Yeah.
her moving on with her life and hiding out.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
I was like,
It-
when she shows up, I was like, oh, she found her. But no, she was like,
When
the
Hattie
line.
shows up, right?
yeah.
When Hattie shows up, I was like, God damn it. They're like doing another design for a girl that has orange hair and freckles.
Mm-hmm.
And then she.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
her.
And it's weird because they say 1925 Los Angeles then. And I'm like, so, but what's then?
Then, what does then mean?
Yeah. That was confusing. Yeah, and I definitely at first thought that Pearl was a different character. I didn't recognize her.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah. It's bad character design and bad framing of the beginning of the issue.
But it was nice.
So yeah, we
She showed up with a movie ticket. And they're like, yeah, let's
Yeah.
go watch a movie together.
And then they became roommates.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Friendship.
We cut back to the present, and yeah, basically Pearl confronts Block, and she's all like, let her go, and then they do let her go, and then they want to chain her up to like torture her.
Mm-hmm.
And
I love the line where he's like
she's
we're gonna chain you up. We're we're gonna make your life like a Hollywood movie or something, and then we're just gonna stab you a bunch of times and see what
They
sticks.
didn't. Well, the thing is, didn't he? He didn't even say like chain up. He was like, "We're gonna hook you up.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
we're gonna help you." But they're pulling out these shackles.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And then she's all like, run, Hattie. And then he is all like, Miss Hargrove, you wanted an audition? And then she like stabs her in the back.
Yeah, Hattie
The knife.
stabs Pearl in the back.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what? That's a twist.
Yeah.
I didn't
It
see
was-
that coming.
You know, I didn't remember it from the last time I read it, but it was an okay twist.
I do kind of like how, if you look back on some of Hattie's other aspects, the fact that she like didn't have money for rent in time, and Pearl meanwhile is working 3 jobs, is like, I'll cover you, and Hattie's like, oh, you don't have to. And I'm like, what are you busy doing, Hattie?
That that was something I didn't
Yeah.
catch because she was like, I'm working 3 jobs to help my deadbeat roommate, and I didn't catch that. Oh, that was Hattie.
I mean, I didn't catch that until once Hattie betrayed her. I went, oh, these deadbeat qualities, they're not just like accidental. She's just sort of taking advantage of her.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, so it's also revealed that she was the person dragging the dead bodies in the beginning of the book.
So she was helping out with these parties for a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She worked her way up to body dragger.
I mean, that's a promotion. You're not
Maybe
the
someday
body being
she'd
dragged.
get to be.
Yeah. Or how do we say environmental?
And
waste
maybe
disposal?
someday she.
I mean, yeah. Somehow, I feel like this would get left off the resume.
Yeah, somehow.
She put them up as references.
I was responsible for laying fertilizer down.
I don't think human beings make that good of fertilizer.
I was an errand boy for some major movie executives.
Yeah.
There you go. That's the...
Or errand girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Anyways.
Pearl escapes those vampires, and with the help of Henry. He gets halfway there, and then Henry shows up, picks her up. Also, I guess that's that's his buddy's car, because she took his car. That was the question I had, because I was like, how did he get a car?
I didn't think about that, but then he talks about it later.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay.
And then
yeah, basically. Oh, go ahead.
Apparently, vampires have their own lore, because Henry knew exactly what to do.
Yeah, that was a thing too. I was like, so did what's his name? The author guy,
Earl Bunting?
Bunt, right? Yeah, Bunting. Was he the first one to make vampire fiction, or does Bram Stoker's Dracula exist?
They literally have in one of his advertisements, they go, the likes of Bram Stoker, or whatever.
Oh, okay.
So they literally are referencing that. They're like,
Gotcha.
You like that? Well, you'll like this.
Okay, well that's good then. Because I was really wondering if he was the first one to create vampires, but obviously the real things. In this story, yeah. Okay, well that's good, I guess. That explains why he would kind of know what to do with a vampire, other than just try to shoot it.
Yeah, he gives her,
and then
he lets her bite her. Sorry, he lets her bite him.
Yeah. Because Pearl is super weak.
I should say that moment he was like, take from me, and I was like, what is he about to do?
Oh, okay.
I forgot that he knew that she was a vampire, so I was like, was he gonna nurse her back to health?
Yeah, they share a intimate scene, and then they're like, he's like, all right, I'm gonna help you out. And she's like, I'm sorry, for the longest time, you didn't even talk to me, or something to that effect. You quit stuff. How would you even know? He's like, 'cause I went to war, so I know a thing about fighting for something worth fighting for.
It's a little dramatic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, was he in the Civil War? What
First World
No,
War.
World War One.
Yeah,
With the
one
Marines.
that just happened.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah.
There's
yeah,
a whole thing about Bellow Wood, and it's a whole thing with the Marines in World War One.
Okay.
He's got to be a certain age then. Damn.
I don't know. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
do fictional character age math.
18.
I will.
18 in 1914. This was 11 years later, so he'd be
No,
29.
move on. I'm gonna do the math. Let me do the math.
We're
Okay.
going past. We're moving on. Chiwinta's gonna ring in later.
All right. And so then we jump back to William Bunting recounting the story. And the whole posse, Felix, James, Avelina, and Will are in Lakeview at this point. And they're chasing down. So they're chasing down Skinner, and they find the. So they're talking about how we didn't really realize that vampires were real. Like I was kind of I saw that, and I was kind of second guessing myself whether or not I actually did see that. And then we cut to them finding the cave that Skinner is at. And he's like, oh man, the new moon is out, so I'm weak.
Yeah. Also, okay, so there's like the kind of dumb guys at the cave, and then like somebody knocks him out or them out. Like, who was that?
That looked like James.
That was Book. I'm pretty
Why?
sure.
Those are the.
Well, 'cause I think
wait, are
that's-
the dumb.
Those are like Skinner's old gang, and now they're like, oh, Skinner's back, but he's acting kind of weird, so we're gonna keep an
And
eye
he
on
looks,
him.
yeah, he was like, man, he still looks the same age. And they're like, yeah, you're just as dumb as back then, too.
I thought that at first I thought that was James saying that. I didn't realize that those were the Blackmouth twins. But it makes sense. It makes a lot more sense now. That would have.
Oh yeah, it's the
Jesus.
Blackmouth twins, and then that the Catholic taste guy.
Yeah. His name is Deeks. That was his last name. I forgot his first.
Something
Yeah.
probably, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, that scene makes a lot more sense now. I was like, who are these people? I don't understand. But yeah.
Mhm. And so.
So they basically like they use up a lot of their time. Like, I mean, obviously they don't know that he's weak in the new moon, but like they're all like, we don't know what to do. And it's like, man, you could have just ran in there and like literally just like when he was hungover in the brothel way back when, you could have just nabbed him.
Yeah, so Felix sees his father's head in a tree, and he goes to chase after Skinner, or like enter the cave. And he tells
It
Avelina,
enrages him.
Say that again?
It enrages him, pretty good trap.
Yeah. Then he tells Avelina, stay back there. And then we also get Percy and his gang being like, all right, so we've got our puppets all lined up. Yeah, and everything's going exactly the way we want it. And then some of them's like, well, I mean, I don't know how I feel about. Well, yeah, it's like I feel a bit sorry about Skinner because he's one of us. And then Percy's like, he is not one of us. What are you talking about? Okay. And don't make that mistake again, or else I will kill you. So yeah, then we get Felix in the cave, and then that's when he stumbles upon Skinner, and Skinner just burns half of his face and then slashes his throat. And then the scene that I hate the most comes right out.
Yeah,
Actually,
this was
the most tame of the hateful scenes. Like, it gets worse.
It was the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier when it's like the Stephen King signature.
Oh, really?
Is definitely weird shoehorned romance, usually between an older man and a younger woman who have some like tenuous family connection.
Mm-hmm. Oh, gotcha. Huh.
Ah.
Okay. Yeah. So Avelina. So
Is that's the signature? Great.
Yeah, the moment you said Stephen King's signature, I was just like, oh, I know which part.
Yeah.
So James.
Oh, that's upsetting.
Yeah, that is. So James goes after Felix, and then Avelina's like, wait, you got to get something before you go. And she kisses him. Keep in mind, this guy's at least 20 years older than her. He's her godfather.
Yeah. Yeah, it's bad.
He was there at her father's wedding.
Yep.
Ugh.
Yeah. And yeah, it just gets worse, but we're gonna wait until we get there. All right.
Yep.
Yeah, moving on. Big vampire fight.
Mm-hmm.
They go blam 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 blam. He puts up a rock to block the bullet and hits
And throws the rock at James.
and throws the rock. I really thought it was just gonna ricochet at James, but then it was like not catch.
Mm-hmm.
And then
he tries to turn.
He has a gunshot, or sorry, Skinner. Yeah. And then what's her name again?
Abelina.
Abby.
Abelina.
Yeah, you just call her
Abelina.
Abby.
Yeah.
Well, they start to nickname her Abby later.
Yeah.
So.
She shoots Skinner, grazing him,
Mhm.
basically. And but
a drop of Skinner's
yeah.
blood ends up
and
in
then
his eyes. Or in James's eyes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They escape.
And then he, they shoot the bracing for the mine shaft that they're in, and just narrowly escape out of the mine shaft. While Skinner is like stuck. This is like the third time Skinner's been like captured / buried / like.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then.
So.
Yeah, let's see here. So
James starts to turn, and then that's when we end chapter 4, go to chapter 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see here.
This chapter is about Henry and Pearl charging at BD Block and his gang. They were like, we're gonna go after her, and then she's like, nah, I'm going after you. And then a whole bunch of hacking and slashing.
Yeah. Basically, yeah, just slash, gotta get revenge. And then she finds Hattie, who, she's getting giving autographs to other, small time actresses, because assumably she got a promotion in her acting roles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, they're making her a female lead, which is really big.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then, basically, though, it turns out, surprise extra twist, Hattie is an American vampire now.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was saying. It's like so easy to make yourself a vampire. She literally just took the bloody knife from Pearl, or
She
stabbed
Pearl, and then just cut herself.
Yeah. I mean, it's blood touching somehow your blood.
I don't know. If we try to get too much in the science of it, it's not going to work.
She'd probably have to drain a lot of her own blood and then cut herself with it. That's it.
Yeah. But yeah, basically she's all like, I just wanted to be like you, through and through, except for, I always knew that you were too good.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I am basically perfect because I'm bad and I'm like you now.
Yep.
And yeah, it's just weird, kind of jealousy stuff, which makes me not really like these characters anymore. To the extent that I did like them, I'm like, wow, you're just making your characters not enjoyable left and right.
I kind of feel like Pearl lost a lot of any characterization they tried to give her earlier. She's just busy on this revenge spree, And I better kill Hattie while I'm at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like she did more to damage the vampires than Skinner did in 20 years. In like 2 days? A day?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of the whole thing of Skinner just doesn't care, right? But
yeah, it seems that way.
But man, they are really weak.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, they are.
Pearl kills Addie, which I'm not entirely certain if that is she died because she stabbed her with a gold star, which I don't think is made of wood.
Well, so that's the thing. That moment, I had to keep looking back at it. She stabbed her with the gold star in the mouth after, damaging her a bit, I think. And it sizzles. And she went, oh, gold. Like, it gave her an idea.
Well, yeah, because Hattie is also an American version of a vampire. And, like, we don't know what kills American vampires other than
Of course, American vampires would be vulnerable to gold.
Yeah, there's something in there. There's some subtext there.
I thought she said gold as in like, this is what you wanted. You wanted to be a star.
Like gold. Great job.
No, like this is what you wanted. You wanted to be a star. Well, then there you go.
I mean, even if she didn't notice, I do think the fact that it was sizzling means something,
Gotcha.
Yeah. I didn't notice that, but I agree. Yeah, it's supposed to mean something. Which also, like, were they using real solid gold just for the stars' doors?
I don't know. In the 1920s, for like silent movie stars, they could have been, because those are like beyond celebrities, like how celebrities are now. Like back in the day, like those were like the only people that mattered, so they could have been.
Yeah, I know.
I
That's
feel
why
like
I
that can
actually
get
kind of
stolen
asked.
really quickly. First of all, and also just as people who are trying to profit off these movie stars, why waste making some gold for them on a thing that they're gonna paste on their door?
Yeah, but they're so rich it doesn't matter. I think maybe.
Yeah, but at the same time, also Pearl is able to bend it, and so I'm like,
she's also very. I mean, gold's not that.
Yeah, she is strong. Gold is soft. They were rich enough that it could have been gold.
I mean, I would accept gold plated.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah. That'd be really funny if all it took was just like a few gold flakes, and they're like, "Oh shit!" and start sizzling.
Yeah. Anyway, though, so yeah, then.
Yeah, Henry and Pearl are at the. I forgot what you call this.
Boardwalk.
Boardwalk. Oh, it's like Pier. Pier. Okay.
The pier.
It's a boardwalk on the pier.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're like, hey, we have all this money that we sold because we sold all of BD Block's things, so we have all this money. We can go anywhere. And you want to go to a museum?
You can't just murder a man and then sell off his stuff and just like nobody's gonna be like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
This is our house now. We killed the man who lives
here. Yeah, and she doesn't want to go to a museum. She wants to. Well, he's saying she wants to go to a library, but he's really poking fun at her because she just wants to go somewhere quiet, because she's had so much action.
Yeah. And then she's like, "Oh, give me some towels." Oh yeah. He goes to get towels for something that they're gonna do.
They're at the beach. They're gonna be. Yeah, they're gonna be swimming.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, then that's when Skinner shows up, and he's like, I was gonna kill you, but then after I saw what you did to BD Block, I was inspired, and I think we could do some great things.
You're so good at carnage. Will you be my wife?
I thought it was okay. I thought this was really weird because, she had like no connection to him at all, and then she let him walk real close to her. Like she was like looking up, and he's like, "So, I guess I gotta go now." She was like, "Again?"
Okay, yeah, that is a little weird.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
and he's like, "Oh, trust me, it's not gonna be the last time." And then Henry shows up as Skinner had left, and he's like, "Who is that you were talking to?" "Oh, nobody.
Just a friend.
Yeah.
Just an old acquaintance.
You didn't know him."
Yeah.
And then it says the end, but it's not actually the end. It's the end of
Well,
Pearl's
it's the
story,
end
but
of
then-
Well, it's the-
that story. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so now we're back to
And then so
Will Bunting telling his story.
yeah. And basically, yeah, the historian is getting in the most of a huff that he's been in, and then but we, you know, and there's been hints at it in the background, but we see that Skinner is there at the telling of the story, basically, and he's all like, just be quiet, basically.
Yep.
I want to hear this part. And so basically we learn that Book is, you know, a vampire, and he's trying to fight it. He, you know, he's basically like eating what are those, prairie dogs? No, prairie dogs are smaller, right? What is he eating?
A
I
groundhog?
mean,
Groundhog, maybe?
That
I think
could
they're
be a
more
prairie
prairie
dog.
dogs because it's a desert area.
It's a what?
Or it could be something that I discovered while I was in Florida. They just have like ground squirrels, where they're just like squirrels, but instead of in trees, they're just in the ground, which is bizarre to me. But I guess that's their evolutionary niche. Is we're not quite groundhogs.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. There's
Um,
this text again that you were mentioning, Cody, with Dr. Jones.
Yeah, I know it's
It's weird.
it's everywhere and it's obnoxious. But yeah, so then he Book is getting checked out by the doctor, and the doctor's all like, I'm gonna refer you to this kind of doctor.
Like, do you
And
think that
he's
kind of
all like,
doctor can
look at
help
me
me?
in the mirror. Yeah.
Mhm.
And he's just all like, get out of here, leave. And then I think he tries to call the doctor a vampire, and I'm like,
Does.
are you
That
trying
was,
to
like-
like get him burned at the stake?
That was such a
Well, no,
weird
it's
point.
it's supposed to be
Rough.
like bloodsuckers, like
Oh,
kind of like if you call them a leech or something.
like
It just was
you
really
charge me
weird,
so
though.
much for nothing, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, but like
Okay.
it's vampire, then it's like see.
But like he knows he's a vampire, so it's just the weirdest.
Yeah, but then maybe business is the real vampire. Maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
Those new American businesses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so then Abelina shows
Yeah.
up and talking to Book, and this is that panel where I was like, that's a little worse. How?
You're right. You're right. It does just get lower, doesn't it?
But yeah, she's like, I think we actually have feelings for each other, like the kind where when a man, woman, and he's like, get out.
And she's like,
Yeah.
oh, boo-hoo, like running. Like,
I'm sorry. I just like I have no sympathy for you. That dude is 20 years your senior. Mm-mm.
I calculated it.
Oh,
He is at least, if we're assuming that he was the same age as his fiance when she died, he's 35 years her senior.
Ooh,
oh my God.
that's bad.
So I'm sure he was not the same age as his fiance. I'm sure he was older than her.
Uh-huh.
So he is older than 35.
Oh
He's
my God.
nearing
Wow.
40 years her senior.
Wow,
Oh,
that's bad.
yikes. Yeah. It's real bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so.
And then some.
Oh, yeah.
I was just gonna say some more dumb guys come to find, the body of Skinner.
Yeah, but at least they were paid specifically to get him to Percy, the old vampire. So like that is,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's more or less of an excuse. I don't know if Percy told him like, "Hey, watch out, he's a vampire."
Probably not.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
so this
And
was
then-
weird. So the next page is actually focusing on Jim Book, and he's fighting off some people. And I was like, at first I was like, is this also Skinner? Because he's like, time to meet my maker. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is.
No. That's intercut with
No.
Jim at the like starting at the top with like the yellow back is Jim like going to kill that sheep to clear his head, but like all the stuff with the red back that's Skinner talking to the guys who dug him up.
Oh. That's bad. That's still bad.
That's not that confusing. I'm gonna put that on you.
Really?
No, that's really confusing. I did not get that at all.
I did not.
That's... What the heck? Okay, I can tell once I actually look at the page and, like... Try to pay
I'm
super
gonna come
close
out
attention.
middle of the fence. I did understand when I read it, but I can see how one would be confused.
They're
Gotcha.
both shirtless dudes with long, gangly hair. Like,
Yeah.
thank goodness they gave that facial shot of Jim Book. Gee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then I think that this is like probably one of the worst parts.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's all been leading up to this point.
Yeah.
It's the culmination of all the worst.
So what happens is that he goes to Abelina or James, and he's like, I need you to kill me. All right, I'm turning into a vampire. I'm turning into what Skinner was, and I don't want that. Otherwise, he'd win. So kill me. And she's like, I need something first, and I immediately knew what that was. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
What else would it be?
Yeah.
Like, a person can only want one thing from another person.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, well, my father died, and then somebody else died. I just need something to hold on to. Like, I don't want to lose all the love. That's
basically, that's like the dumbest line, because she's like, all my parental figures in my life have died. You're the only one left? Like, wait a second there.
Yeah. It's bad. And then the one of the last lines that she really gets until later, I think, is she says, "It's my fertile time."
I hate that. I hate that so much.
I hate it so much too. I'm like, please.
They just had to say
no.
that.
Mm-hmm.
It's so bad. Oh yeah, and then in between that scene, though, is basically Percy is all like, "Hey Skinner, I'll cut you a deal. You know, we're up against some hard times right now, and we need to be friends. Sorry for like not being friends with you."
Mm-hmm.
And then he's all like, "Yeah, whatever, man. I'm pulling you into the sunlight.
Mm-hmm.
Bye."
Oh, and he's like, your death is worth $1 million.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Percy's like, I could give you $1 million, don't do this.
Mm-hmm.
I really do like his face just before that happens. He's like, trying to be suave with his cigar and try to make this deal.
Mm-hmm.
So dumb of him.
I see.
And then, yeah, Abby does kill, James' book. And then a year later, she has, his baby and,
And Will, that good old Will.
Will, Yeah, he's all like, "Hey, can I tag along
Mhm.
with you guys?" And I'm like, "Wait, what are you gonna do?"
And he's like, sure, just keep up.
Yeah,
And then he's like, all right,
and then he's
yeah, so that's the story. It's true. The reason why I'm telling you this now is because, well, I'm dying. Because I've been around death so much, I know when my time's up. Like, so if you want it signed, do it. And they're like, wait a minute, what happened to Abelina and her daughter, or the baby? And they're like, that's not my story to tell. I'm like, okay. And the historian goes up to Will with a note from Skinner.
Yeah, when Skinner told the historian to be quiet, he also grabbed his hand and like pierced his claws into him.
Yeah.
That dude is traumatized now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of surprised Skinner can write.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
just
he's
sitting
had
in the
lots of
audience
time
telling
to
the
learn.
historian to write this down.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Whispering.
I guess he's had time, but like, it doesn't seem like it'd be real high on his priority list.
Right.
I should say, I don't
Yeah.
think Will
Yeah.
should be that surprised.
Well, he doesn't know that. Well, you're frozen.
Yeah, I lost you, Wanta.
Mm-hmm.
Be gone.
Yeah. But we can read the note real quick. It says, "Dear Scribbler, you are old and I am young for eternity," in bold.
Mm-hmm.
"So I let you live to suffer and die. Why not? What better revenge is there than that? Here's an autograph for you, Skinner Sweet." Which, like, I don't know. I don't know what the purpose of leaving that autograph was. Just, like, to haunt him, I guess,
Mhm.
basically.
Oh, you were back for a second.
There was like 6 people in the audience. You should have seen him.
Mm-hmm. Well, but he didn't know that Will or Skinner was alive. He was like, I'm not sure.
Mm.
That's
Oh,
true.
yeah, that's true.
And then it ends
And then-
with Abelina holding her daughter, Felicia, and saying, that's the man that killed your father. Not yet.
Well, who destroyed your father? Because technically, she killed
yeah,
him,
Yeah.
but he
I
is
should-
the one
yeah.
who made it a requirement.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
Skinner's got to know they're right there talking about him.
I mean, they're the only two in the street,
Yeah.
it looks like.
Yeah, but
Like, he
it kind of
walked out,
reminded me
yeah.
of and this might be me by projecting too much, but like Kill Bill Part 1, where like Uma Thurman goes and like kills that first person, but like her daughter is there, and then Uma Thurman's like, I understand if you're mad at me. Once you're old enough, come and find me, and we'll fight. And I'm like, I don't know, that kind of reminded me of that. It's like, he's probably aware that like Abilene is still out there, but it's like, yeah, if they want to fight, he'll fight.
I gotta say,
Mhm.
on that point, he's been alive for, like, since 1880 as a vampire, around then. So,
Yeah. Well,
that's,
yeah.
like, he's probably made a lot of enemies.
yeah. Also, I was gonna say that this is honestly, like, for me, this last final panel showing Abby, she looks so much like Pearl to me. Like, exactly the same. I was like, wait, what? And I was like, oh. Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's why they
I'm
needed
like,
the
all right.
rose.
Yeah.
This is what
Peak character design.
her eyes are like really dark, and like I don't know if that's like a artistic choice, but to show that like she's already gone and her daughter's like fresh eyes or something. It's like it's a really big
I don't
difference
know.
between her eyes and her daughter's eyes. You can tell.
Yeah, I think that Abby is definitely jaded. She is
Mm.
like she has another revenge mission, just like Pearl.
Mm-hmm.
Another
Yeah.
similarity there.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, her daughter. Okay, I'm calling bets right now that her daughter is like half genetic vampire. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We can
Yeah, I
try
can
to
see
get into the science, but it's never gonna work out.
that.
Yeah. Um. But I mean, I'm sure that that's probably just what happens in like the next volume. Though, is it's all like I thought I was a human, but it turns out I am this weird human vampire hybrid.
Mhm.
So I can walk in the sun like an American vampire, and I don't get weak to the new moon, but
Oh, so we have another
I
Blade
have these
situation.
powers.
The new
Yeah,
American vampire.
yeah.
You the 1926 Ford, I'm the 1928 Chevy.
I don't know why you're stuck on that car metaphor so much. Like it's just
I
supposed to
should
be
say-
new technology.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned telegraphs and telephones too, but like it's just the cars with you.
Well,
So-
he's the one that brought it up. I'm just using his language against him.
Yeah, he also called it evolution, but you're not saying like survival of the fittest
Yeah, but that doesn't
or
ring
like
as
Charles
much.
Darwin.
That
It's
doesn't
just
ring
like
as
you're just
much.
stuck on that. I don't understand.
Survival of the fittest doesn't sound
Yeah.
as great as when you say 1926 Ford versus the 1928 Chevy.
Yeah, you're just making that up though. Nobody's ever said that. Survival of the fittest is still around, even though it was like Charles Darwin in 18 whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Charles Darwin never said that. That was a phrase created by like basically like businessmen to explain their bad business practices for workers.
Yeah, but you know what? It's still around.
Mm-hmm.
It is
My
still
point
around,
still
but
stands.
just gotta put the facts out there though.
Mm-hmm.
Not an original Charles Darwin quote. Original Charles Darwin misquote. Yeah. So yeah, basically I was just gonna say that the art I was looking at these back pages and I like the inks a lot better than when they like I don't know like because like they have like really strong inks and then they decide to like shade them with like some I forget what the medium is called, but it's like kind of like a watercolor, a wash. Yeah, like some gray wash.
Mm.
And I like just the plain inks better, honestly, but in the colored version, you know, it works out better when they use the wash, I guess. But yeah. That's my thoughts on the art.
Yeah, I'd say this art for me was like good, but not great.
That's a very qualified pause.
I don't like, to me good means that like, for me when I say good it almost makes it sound better than I think it is, but like good to me,
Let's start.
like maybe I should just say it's okay, but like
What?
I feel like I've judged worse art as okay. I'm not entirely certain.
Mm-hmm. What did you like about it, and what did you dislike about it? Let's go a little more specific.
Like art wise or story or in general.
Art wise first, and then we'll.
Yeah, to me it's the faces. Like not necessarily that they were the same, but like they were drawn in a certain creative style that just I didn't really like. I'm more of a fan of like making faces that look like faces, like at least more realistic,
Mm-hmm.
not like contorted. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. You know, I feel like, you know, that's probably just his style of like, you know, making people more distinguishable, which we already had trouble with.
Yeah.
Was all like, ooh, their face shapes are just really varied, you know. But yeah, I can see that. That's a I don't think I had as much of a problem with that. I'm like, I think that that's probably something that added to, like, you know, it helped the variety as much as it, you know, could be.
Gotcha. And
To
then
differentiate people.
And then what I did like about it was that I could tell the shapes.
Shapes of what?
I could tell where shapes ended and where they started, you know. You and Jake weren't there, but we read a book called Low, the worst art I have ever seen.
Yeah, you keep talking about that one.
Yeah, I mean, generally you like solid outlines that are...
Yeah, I was going to say, like, strong ink work tends to be more solid outlines, so...
Gotcha.
It's probably their use of spot blacks that
Yeah.
helps. I really like... the whole reason I picked up American Vampire, I think, is at the time it had a Sean Murphy cover, and I think he does some of the art later on, and I really like his style, so... This sort of feels like... It has a similar kind of strong use of blacks, like you were saying. But I do prefer Sean Murphy's stuff later, as far as the stylization of the faces. Because like I said, in this one, it feels like the stylization of the faces are all the same.
Okay. So Sean Murphy came later?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he does a lot more of the interior work later. Volumes.
Okay.
I should say they're very similar.
This one...
I almost thought it was him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I just saw on the front cover of mine that this won the 2011 Eisner Award for Best New Series, and I'm like, really? I don't know. It's not pulling me in as the Best New Series. Like, I don't know what was coming out in 2011, but...
Hey man, it's just
vampires
like Spawn,
were just all the
except
craze
we got
at the time.
Yeah. But yeah, the story was okay. It was like, you know, sometimes I felt like the twists were like just like twists for the sake of twists, you know, and like nothing really like felt meaningful to any of the characters.
It didn't feel like it was
Very
leading up to
often.
much.
Yeah.
Like I feel like
It's just
even
like-
if she didn't become a vampire, she might have gone with Henry. I mean, what was her
Yeah.
character change really, other than she's like, oh man, need to stop letting Hattie take advantage of me and other people, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, yeah. Things just happen again.
Yeah, I would generally agree with that. Yeah, I'd say this story was just more meh. And honestly, like, I don't know what would qualify to me as a good story. I can't really say, like, this is why it wasn't great.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's important to have like personal like feelings, but in general, just the craft of the story, you know, it's like the fact that, you know, first of all, like, I'm not even sure, like, as a series, you know, like, if we look at this broadly outside of just volume 1, who is supposed to be the main character here? Is it Skinner Sweet? Is it Pearl? Because, like, you know, is, like, I don't really understand. Like, is it, like, purely ensemble? We're going to be following, like, everybody who gets introduced until they die? I don't know.
I sort of think they're trying... I mean, obviously they went with Pearl at first as main character because she's a good introduction into it. I don't even know what Pearl's real motivations were other than, like, staying afloat. Like, what did she want long term, and how did that change or become fulfilled or get closer, you know, in the end.
Yeah.
I think I really like characters, so, like, just making them do stuff sometimes is okay as long as they're trying to do it in the name of their motivations. But in this case, it's just like revenge, maybe a little bit, and then once that's over, whatever. But then meanwhile, I think they're going to keep Skinner as a trickster character who constantly is like coming in and out. Is like, give you a riddle or something, make you feel unnerved, but not do that much. Maybe come in and kick a few buckets over to ruin things, but that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's basically how I felt about this book. It was just kind of like, it technically works, but I don't think it deserves as much high praise as it maybe got or gets.
Huh.
I enjoyed the Archie comic last week more.
Oh.
All right.
Did Jake say anything?
Shuenta, do you... Oh, I don't know. Yeah, did you have further opinions, Jake?
No, not really. I mean, like, I liked it a little more, but, like, I didn't go in expecting all that much. I did think it was interesting, like, this is the first it'll be airing in November. And that's when I was trying to do, like, villain spotlight, and this didn't really have, like, I guess it had an antagonist with Block, but, like, it is mostly, like, a bunch of, like, pretty much everybody but Pearl turns out to be a pretty awful person. It's like Skinner is like the protagonist that like allows Pearl to get revenge, but he's bad. He runs with bad people. All the European vampires are bad. Hattie like betrays her best friend as like we were introduced to her. It's like, so it's really just like her and Henry are the only good people.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think you made me remember the fact that I would totally like it more if they went more with what it seemed like they were doing with Skinner, where we talked about, like, he's a bad guy, like, even for outlaws he goes above and beyond. But then, like, by the time it's like the 1920s here, or even the 1910s, he's kind of mellowed out. Like, he's being mean to people he knew, but we don't really, like, when he interacts with Pearl, he's like, there you go, I helped you. Whatever, walks away. And it's like, what's he gonna go do? Maybe bad things?
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Yeah.
They totally could have made him worse.
Mm-hmm. They also, like, for all of Stephen King's, like, posturing about how vampires are monsters in the beginning, you know, they really could have made Pearl a bad guy, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, like, you know, becoming a vampire just really makes you evil, no matter what.
Yeah.
So, like...
That's definitely
like, no, but she's...
a Stephen King thing. Is, like, a lot of setup and a lot of, like, bluster, and then, like, zero follow-through.
Man, that would have been, like, really interesting to have Henry be like, I think you've changed. Like, yeah, I get it, we had to kill those people, but why won't you stop?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But, yeah.
Jake is starting.
That's a good idea. What's that?
You're starting.
Oh, right, I gotta do, outro stuff. This has been the Comic Panel, your location for all comic-related media. I'm Jacob.
I'm Cody.
I'm Taylon.
And I'm Shuenta.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.